Hey everyone, my name is Montana Buck. Welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how I made this Dorothy Ruby Red Slipper inspired eyeshadow makeup. So if you guys are interested in how I created this look right here, then just keep watching. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with my L'Oreal True Match Foundation. She's a little dirty. This is the shade Natural Buff N3. I'm just going to dab this on the back of my hand and then dot it all over my skin. There's like some swatches and stuff, like some eyeshadows, but I'm just going to take my ring finger and begin dotting this all over the skin. I find that putting it on the back of my hand and then going in with my foundation brush is the best way for me to apply this foundation. I'm just using here the Sigma F80 flat top kabuki brush. I love this brush. It's so soft. Make sure that our skin is one solid tone here. Just getting rid of all that redness, all the discoloration. I did already go ahead and apply my eyebrows, and then I carved them out with a little bit of concealer as well. I'm not going to include that in the video just because I know a lot of people feel like it's boring to watch or like tedious or uneventful or whatever, so I'm just gonna leave that part out. I'm going to mix in a little bit of this Revlon Color Stay Concealer. I can't remember where I picked it up, but it's drugstore, so I'm sure you could find it at Walmart, CVS, Walgreens, like all those kinds of places. Surprisingly enough, this concealer is really good. I don't remember buying it when I bought it, but I ran out of the Tarte Shape Tape, so I was like, well, I need a concealer, what do I do? I came across this one. It's in the shade Light Medium, 03 Light Medium. So I'm just going to go ahead and apply this underneath the eye to cover up my dark circles. I will say that this formula on this concealer is a bit watery. I mean, it's kind of nice, actually, going from a super high coverage concealer that's very thick and going to this one, which is more thin. I like it because if you let it sit for a minute and you just kind of wait for those pigments to dry down a little bit, I end up getting an even more full coverage look going on. Add a little bit to the chin area as well, and just a dot on the nose and blend it in and make it mesh with the foundation. It's a beautiful concealer, and I love that it's so cost effective. I mean, you really can't beat it. So taking this underneath the eye, I like to start low, and then just as I get closer and closer to the eye, I'm just barely tapping that. This is how I get my full coverage. Cancel out all that darkness underneath the eye. Makes me look much more awake, fresh, and like I didn't just stay up all night. I definitely don't want my foundation or any powders that I'm going to apply in a little bit to sort of like cake up in those little creases here or in the sides of the nose. So I'm paying special attention with my beauty blender just to blend those areas out nicely. Next, I'm picking up my LA Girl Cosmetics Pro Conceal in the shade Toast to contour and help me to lay out my bronzer when we get to that point. I don't want to go straight in with a powder bronzer like these quite yet. I like to start with all creams and then go in with powders. I'm just squeezing a little bit up out of this tube, and I like to swirl it into the hollows of my cheekbones, starting at the top of the ear and then stopping like right around where the end of the eye stops. So, and then I'm just going to drag this through the temples and then a little bit up into the hairline as well. This cream really blends out so beautifully. It's really hard to do too much. When I lay it down and you get really close up to the skin, you cannot see any pores underneath this. It's so crazy. It's like I've never really seen anything like this kind of before. So that's why you guys see me using it in like all of my tutorials. I'm just spreading this quickly. Absolutely beautiful. I also noticed that it helps my bronzer to stay more pigmented throughout the day. So now we're at the point where I feel more comfortable with laying down powders now that I'm pretty much all done with my creams. The next step that we're going to do is I'm picking up my MAC Studio Fix powder. This is in the shade NC15. This brush here, this is a Morphe M433. As you can see, this brush is very tapered. It's got that like beautiful little point here, which is so perfect for baking the under eye. As you can see, you can get really, really close up in there. This is just such a great brush for that. Dabbing it into the MAC Studio Fix, I'm going to begin setting the under eye. And I just like to kind of stamp it and kind of pack it to ensure that it's going to stay all day. The concealer is not going to crease in a couple hours. Go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. I like to press that powder into the sides of the nose as well, just to help that makeup stay as long as it possibly can. I'm also going to just dust a little bit in between the brows onto the eyelid, just so that when we go to do our eyeshadow, we're not going to be putting eyeshadow on wet concealer. I just want to kind of like dry this down as a sort of base for the eyeshadows that we're going to be going in with in just a moment. Also taking this on the chin. Alright, I thought my camera was recording, but I guess it was not. So I actually just went ahead and did some bronzer on the cheekbones and the temples and across the forehead. I guess we'll just film this all over again. I'm going in with my MAC X Patrick Star Summer Collection Bronzer in the shade Give Me Life. I also like to drag this down underneath the chin area a little bit, just so that your neck and your skin on your face matches properly. If you're feeling a little bold, you could even bronze your collarbones here, a little bit into the hollows of the collarbone. I just kind of like press and dab, and this will help you to match more seamlessly. I like to drag it down the center of the neck as well, and then just kind of lift my necklace a bit and give my chest a good swirling. I'm taking this little fluffy brush here that I've got, and I'm just going to dip it into the bronzer, tap off the excess, and do a little bit of powder contouring on the nose. From the very corner of the eyebrow down to the bottom of the nose, same thing on the other side. I like to sweep this underneath the nose as well. Moving forward, we're picking up our highlighter now. This is the Becca Cosmetics Champagne Pop Shimmering Skin Perfector. This is one of my favorite highlighters. What I just did was I sprayed my sponge with a little bit more Fix Plus. I'm going to begin right on the high point of the cheekbone, and I'm just going to dab, 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 dab. And oh yes, that is nice. So good, so good. A little bit on the chin. I also want this on the pointed tip of my nose. That's really pretty, I like that. So now we are all highlighted, nice and shiny. Beautiful glowing skin. I'm going to go ahead and zoom you guys up a little bit closer to the eye area so you can get a really great idea of where I'll be placing these shadows. We're going to zoom. Maybe that's too close. Don't look at my pores. We're going to be using two different eyeshadow palettes today, along with some pigments. The first palette we're going in with is the Modern Renaissance palette, yes, and the Riviera palette. I'm only going to be using one shade, I think one shade out of this palette, which would be the white. It's such a beautiful bone white shade, and I love it, but this is the shade that I will be going in with out of this palette alone. So, this is going to be the main palette that we use, though. I just want to start out really quickly by highlighting the brow bone, because this is like my favorite step right now, because I love this white shade. It's so pretty. This is a Sigma Small Tapered Blending E45 brush. I'm just taking that pointed tapered brush and going along the underside of the eyebrow, just on the outer corner, and then blending this outwards to highlight the brow bones. Same thing on the other side. And what I really love about this white is that it's very buildable. It's not super stark white as soon as you put it on, but when you build it up, it can get there. It can get there. And then I'm just going to pick up a fluffy brush with no product on it and just begin to sort of blend that white shade out. Dipping into the Modern Renaissance palette, I want to start off with this one right here, called Realgar. Realgar? I'm not sure, but it's beautiful. So we're going to dip into this with, this is totally rubbed off. I'm pretty sure this is a Sigma E40. E35? E35. So I'm going to start on the outer corner, working in small circular motions, and then as the product begins to leave the bristles of the brush, I'm going to slowly dust it and drag it closer to the inner corner. Take your time to build that up, using window wiper motions and circular motions as well. And then going in with that fluffy brush again to sort of mesh and melt that transition shade into the brow bone highlight. And then we're going to go ahead and repeat the same step on the other side. So starting in the outer corner, and back in again with that fluffy brush to melt the brow bone highlight in with that transition shade. Okay, so again, I thought my camera was recording and it definitely was not. So I went ahead and I laid down this shade here in the palette called Red Ochre. This one here. And using the same brush that we applied our transition shade, I just went ahead and blended this shade in here. I'm just going to continue to keep blending that with the camera on this time. Just going back and forth with this color on both of the eyes and building it up to the density that I would like it to be at. Picking up another one of my Eco Tools brushes. This is like a flat shader brush. I'm not sure if it has a name, but I'm pretty sure you can buy these at Target. I'm going to take that brush and dip it into the shade here, Venetian Red, I'm sorry. The way I'm going to apply this shade is just by stamping the outer corner at first and just lightly pressing and packing that shade in, and then slowly working my way towards the center of the eye and then all the way to right before the inner corner. I want to stop it probably about a quarter of the way, not totally to the inner corner, but just right about here. Just stamping and packing all over that crease. Same thing on the other side. I love this color. It's not quite red and it's not quite purple, but it's like a perfect mixture right in the middle, and it's so pretty. Now once I have that eyeshadow packed onto the lid, I'm going to go back in with that fluffy brush that we used for our transition shades, and I'm just going to, with no added product on the brush, begin blending this and buffing this out so the eyeshadows are very smooth. Same thing on the other eyeball. This looks so pretty so far. We're not even done and I'm like, ah, so good. Now I think I want to go in with the shade Love Letter. I'm just going to press it into this little hollow here that has no shadow. And just press, 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 dab, 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 tap, tap, tap. And then back in with that super big fluffy brush, just to kind of smooth out any edges that we may have. Starting in the center, just packing that color on. I'm pretty sure this is the Sigma E25. Don't quote me on it, I'm not totally sure, but I think that that's what this is. So I think what I want to do for the lash line to start is go in with that initial transition shade right here. So I'm just gonna tap, 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 and begin shading this on the under eye. We're gonna go in with a couple colors here, but I want to start out with the lightest shade so I don't get too ahead of myself. And then kind of just like smoking this out and dragging it down and giving you that super fire under eye. other side. Then using that same brush again, I'm dipping back into the palette into, I think I want to do Venetian Red again. I want to focus this shade just on the outer corner. I kind of want to leave this nice orange shade where it's at and then just have it fade into that pretty red. So I'm just going to keep this on the outer corner here. Going back in with that fluffy brush, there's no product on this brush. I'm just going to begin buffing and blending that together. So as you guys can see, I laid down a bunch of translucent powder underneath my eyes. Again, for like the 4th time, my camera wasn't recording, so I am so sorry that I didn't get this on footage. But what I did was I took this little pigment by MAC Cosmetics in the shade Copper. I gave it a little bit of a shake, blew off the excess. I'm just going to go ahead and do it again for you guys. Spritz it with a little bit of Fix Plus on the finger, and then take that glitter and dab it on the inner corner of the eye, and then a little bit more towards the center as well. And then you just are left with this absolutely gorgeous, glittery, sparkly shade. And then just kind of like stack the glitter on top of itself. I want to use this little stubby kabuki brush that I have. Dip this into the translucent powder, get it all caked up in those bristles, and then dust this glitter away. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Now it's time for eyeliner. I'm picking up my NYX Slide On Glide On. This is like a really long name. I love it. It's called the Slide On Glide On Stay On and Definitely a Turn On Waterproof Extreme Shine Eyeliner. This is so good. So I'm just going to begin by applying this underneath my lash line where my upper waterline is, just to add some fullness to the lash line. Same thing on the other side. And then bring it all the way into the inner corner. And then I also want to do the same thing underneath on my lower waterline as well. And now that I have my pencil nice and sharp, I'm going to begin lining the upper half of the lashes. Now we're ready to go in with mascara. Going in with my Voluminous Million Lash Mascara by L'Oreal. I'm going to begin applying one coat of mascara onto my lashes. And then for my bottom lashes, I'm going in with this mascara by Clinique. I'm not totally sure what the name of this is because it's totally dirty and completely rubbed off, but it's definitely Clinique. I can tell because of this little C here. I like using this for my lower lash line because I find that this particular wand, I think this is just the mini like travel size for the full size mascara of the same formula, which I will have linked down below for anybody who's curious about it. But the wand really helps me not to like get any mascara on my under eye instead of just the lashes. So this is really, really, really nice. I'm going to go ahead and put some lash glue on my false lashes. And so then now that I have a little bit of glue on these lashes, I'm going to go ahead and glue them on. These are actually the Opulent lash by the brand Eyeliner. This is the NYX Cosmetics Suede Matte Lip Liner in the shade Sandstorm. This is a MAC Cosmetics lipstick in the shade Honey Love. So I'm going to apply this all over the lips. Oh, this is such a gorgeous color. I love it. So creamy. And then on top of it, just in the center, I have this one here by MAC Cosmetics as well. This is the shade Creme de Nude. So I'm just going to apply this right in the center as sort of like a spotlight highlight. This is the ColourPop Ultra Glossy Lip in the shade Snow Day. That feels amazing. Oh yes. I think all that we have left to do is spray our face with some Fix Plus, so why don't we go ahead and do that. I'm going to shut the camera off for a little bit, straighten my hair, clip in my hair extensions, change my shirt, and we will be all done. And we are done. Ah. Okay, so I went ahead and I put on this super cute jean jacket that I found in my closet. I paired it with a nice little gold necklace to accessorize, and I clipped in my hair extensions. So we are all done with this look. I feel so good. I love the way this eyeshadow turned out. It's so, so glam. I love the sparkles. I'm all about a nice glitter eye. Love that. So I just really quickly wanted to say thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye-bye.